So when we think about change and delivery in organizations, it's sort of it's thinking about the ability to get value to the customer, to create internal change, which might give us a competitive advantage. And a lot of organizations struggle with this. They've kind of lost their capability. Actually, usually when they were quite small, they tended to be able to do this. But as they've got bigger, it's become more and more difficult to do. And so we try and, actually it's got to the point where we've seen some organizations, we're going to go on a 5-year program to fundamentally change, this and that. And these big sort of change programs and methodologies, which essentially just, they don't really work. They've become a bit tired. Executives lose interest very quickly. What's the average length of tenure for an exec these days? About 3 years. So if your program's longer than 3 years, they're going to get bored because they want to see change quickly. So one of the things we advocate at S&S and in the book a lot is trying to shorten that change window, right? Trying to get organizations to think about, how do I get value out the door really quickly? And even if that's transformative value, maybe we start to think about every 90 days rather than the 18-month program. Eventually, from a technology point of view, we might be able to push change out every single day. I think Amazon does like 10,000 changes a day or some ridiculous number. But I think this sort of analogy of trying to come up with ways of working for change and delivery that bring a shorter window to get value out the door is really key. And I think, Formula One's got to be an exemplar in this space because of the race schedule, right?
Yeah, so Formula One World Championship this year is quite conveniently 23 races in 2023. What does that mean? That means 23 opportunities to iterate the technology, to add value, to improve performance, to fix anything where there's a deficit. I often like to say that Formula One, when you look at it, is the teams are much more like a software company. We're literally bringing to market new iterations with small packets of value, I think you call it, on a regular basis. Every week, every fortnight, somewhere in the world, we're delivering an upgraded component or a technology or a software. So it could be hardware or software, but irrespective, the point is that we're constantly looking at how we continuously improve and evolve and iterate and drive value. And quite frankly, if we are not doing that, we are not going to have any chance of winning the World Championship, of being the best in the business. So by definition, competitive Formula One teams are absolutely focused on constant change, on delivery, on fulfilling our ambition of being on a trajectory of continuous improvement for what we do as an organisation, and for our internal customer, which happens to be the Formula One driver, adding value, as I say, every week or every fortnight. It's relentless. People say to me, it must be wearying. Actually, it's not. It's essential if we are to achieve our goal of being the best at what we do.
I think it's one of the things I love about Formula One. I think it's, we talk in the book a little bit about change as being commoditized, that it's very much got an activity focus. So it's very much, it's sporadic, it tends to be turbulent when it occurs, and it's only done when required in an organization because of those two other reasons. And yet Formula One sounds like it's done that shift from an activity focus to a capability focus, which means it's continual, it's normalized, and it's inherent in the organization. It's absolutely part of the DNA. And this is where organizations just need to continue, change is sometimes not understood at the exec level, and so we don't give it the focus it's needed. Sometimes we'll run a project and then go, 3 weeks before we go live, we need some change management to think about now, and it's all a little bit too late. It's a sort of catalogue of disasters that just means we end up with an organization where change doesn't land well. If we're lucky, we don't measure our value realization, so we're not really aware of how bad it is, but actually, at the back of our heads, we probably know how bad it is. And I love Formula One's kind of approach to that, which is it's just part of everything we do. And therefore it's normalized, and it's an inherent capability rather than an activity we need to worry about.
Yeah, I remember talking to an aerodynamicist working for my team, and he had joined us from a a very large aerospace company. And I said to him, so why have you taken a pay cut? And I said to him, why have you come to work in Formula One? And he said, I was working on a particular project in aerospace. And he said, I worked for the company for 5 years and that product still hasn't seen the light of day. He said, in my first month in Formula One, I designed a wing on a Monday morning, which went into production the following Thursday and was delivered to the racetrack. And he said, I watched it compete the week after I'd iterated it. And he said the satisfaction that I got out of that, and by the way, the satisfaction the team got out of me, helping them to iterate and deliver value that speedily. He said, I mean, this is where the action's at, and this is what we all need to be doing. So it's a real, it's a mindset change that's needed. And again, going back to some of the points we mentioned earlier on, in this incredibly fast-changing world, we have to think about how we are constantly evolving and delivering according to that. And rather than running in the opposite direction to change, actually embracing it.
For more information, please visit sullivanstanley.com/future business formula.